Welcome back to the Immergence Show, everyone. Today we're challenging one of the biggest assumptions in tech with a simple but revolutionary idea. You should own your AI, not rent it. To guide us through this paradigm shift, we have a true builder and pioneer, Broza. As the former CTO of now Napster, formerly Infinite Reality, and the architect behind the open source Ethereal Engine, Liam has seen the limitations of the old model from the inside. And now he's building the alternative. Over the next hour, we are going to deconstruct the illusion of the cloud, explore his incredible vision for a personal digital memory, and reveal why owning the physical hardware is the next great competitive advantage for brands and builders. This is a live interactive conversation, so get your questions ready, drop your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to tag a friend or colleague who needs to hear this. Let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Liam. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. That was a really kind intro.
Of
I'm very
course.
excited to share everything.
Yeah, we're so excited. And, it's funny because last week we had a guest that talked about how they built this virtual Burning Man, and the engine they used was Ethereal. So it's actually quite interesting that you are now on the show and telling us about your next venture and your great ideologies. So really excited about this conversation. Would love to start with, hearing from you about your journey. How you started, like from like academia to like entrepreneurship. Any, aspects of this journey that you want to share with us would be really helpful.
Sure. Yeah. I've had a lifelong love of computing. I remember having my aunt and my friends trade books back growing up. Back when you learned how to program out of books you would get from Barnes and Noble and Borders, and we'd have sticky notes in them. I remember my aunt and my teacher putting sticky notes in these books that would actually have code that I would copy out to make simple games like Connect Four and things like that. And I was really lucky to actually get into programming and get internet access pretty early, and that really led me to a crazy passion for making software and also just like digital photography, making movies on the computer. That led to making games on the computer. And I really fell in love with computer graphics from modding games in real primitive ways back then. And that led me to a career in computer science. And while I was in college, I went to RIT and Carnegie Mellon, and took classes all over. Actually, took classes here in Southern California at Cal State Fullerton and Fullerton College. Took all sorts of classes on data science and data structures. And when I was at RIT, I essentially was in a historical computing class and a data structures class at the same time, and was looking at how old computers used to work, how they used to work in the mainframe era. And the idea in the mainframe operating system era was that everyone had a very large user profile. The mainframe would know everything about you, what department you were in, your contact list, all your files. And then you would use like the accounting software or the modeling software, and it would plug into your account and into your files. And you had one representation of the user that carried around everywhere. And they would write position papers from the 60s and 70s, like companies like IBM, VAX, Arthur C. Clarke wrote a bunch of futurology. And they would talk about the home computer and how the home computer would be the size of a refrigerator, the size of one of the rooms in your house, but you'd put up with it because it would be the butler, and it would be the shopper, and it would be the fiduciary, and it would be the doctor, and your data would be at home. and it would talk to the work computer, and the data for your company would be at your office's computer. And there was no idea of this cloud, forever subscriptions or anything like this. And I found that model to be extremely interesting. I was looking at my computer and my phone at the time, where there's every single piece of software I have to make my own account. All the pieces of software are fractured and fragmented and not unified. They don't understand who I am. They don't understand the computer that they're on. They don't understand where the device is and what I'm doing and who I'm with. It's dumb to all of those things. And it seems like a fundamental problem that, like, as long as the system works like that, it's impossible to build meaningful software. So that's really like a passion I had back in college. I ended up building a project called Smoke Signal, which was this desktop app I wrote in Java, because I'd been writing in Java since I was, a kid, since I was in middle school, high school. And I had an Android phone at the time, and I would plug in my Android phone, and it would dump all the data off my Android phone and put it into this personal database on my desktop. And it also, since it was a desktop app with a little SQL database inside of it, it could mine my desktop and things I could export out of my web browser. And it was really a life logging quant self project that helped me build my own database, my own personal search engine. And then I built all these different views on top of it to essentially scrapbook my life. I built heat maps of where I went, trails on a map of where I went, timelines, and it became super personally useful to me. I ended up using it for years. So when I was in school, I essentially went to school with the hopes of going into computer graphics. I was going to go work at AMD. It was actually ATI when I started school, was the graphics company that AMD bought, and going to look at NVIDIA way before they were cool. But I essentially graduated with a bachelor's, starting at computer engineering at RIT. And I was, going around to all the different hardware companies. And I'm like, well, what can you do with a bachelor's? And they're like, well, you can be a training engineer. If you get a master's or a PhD, then you can start to build circuits. And it's like, okay, cool. Well, I'll just get a PhD then. And it goes, well, not so fast. You have to apprentice for like 4 or 5 years on a chip. And then once you get actually assigned to building a chip, it takes years for it to actually come out. And then several more years you're attached to it as like the person who built it and makes sure it works and gets fully used until it's out of life cycle. And you'll be lucky to do like 2, 3, 4 chips in an entire career, 5, and it doesn't pay that well. And at the same time, all of my friends were doing software, and they were like, I came up with the idea Thursday, we formed the company Friday, we launched Monday, and next Friday we're going to sell, we're going to exit. And, this was the time of, this is 2006, it was 2006 to 2009. It was the whole era of, Silicon Valley exploding. So I quickly jumped ship into software, just thinking it was more interesting and there's more opportunity. And a lot of the friends I had at RIT came out of the Human-Computer Interaction Lab there, which Alex Kipman, was recruiting essentially for like the HoloLens and the Kinect. And there are other teams out of Oculus and working on computer vision. And I was really in love with that stuff, but you couldn't make money back then in like 2010. So I ended up going into big data, and all of my friends from there ended up at those companies. So I went into big data. I worked in the government, trying to do a lot of good there, and realized around the time of Ed Snowden and the second Obama administration that the government wasn't for me, and ended up starting the company moved back to California after about a decade living on the East Coast. And my co-founder, Stephen Barry, and my other co-founder, Kyle Barron, we ended up forming a big data company called BitScoop. It was actually a data integration company where we were trying to unify data that came off APIs, microservices, databases, file systems, and scraping the web so that you could turn all those different data sources into one. And we built a really cool data middleware technology. There's still a lot of companies that do that. We were very ahead of our time, especially we had a very cool interface that was really easy to use. That from our time in DC, we learned some cool stuff and brought it to the consumer market. And we had all this incredible technology, but it was extremely hard to sell to developers and to sell to managers and decision makers at tech companies and startups. So we decided to take my life logging app and try to remake it from a desktop app to a web app. And we ended up building LifeScope as a team, and that ended up becoming its essentially its kind of own standalone app. And it was a bit of kind of a breakout hit where we had a lot of people really energized around the idea of bringing together all their data from all their different data sources. And we essentially had a browser extension and native mobile and desktop apps, and about 20 different integrations to like Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Spotify, everything you can imagine, to make 5 lists: a list of everyone you know, a list of everywhere you go, a list of everything physical in the world you own and interact with, everything digital in the world you create and consume. And then we put that all together on a giant timeline. And we built all these views for these 5 lists. And that was a really incredible breakout project where I kind of had this aha moment, and so did Kyle and Steve and the other people working with us on it, that we had something here, that nowhere else do you have your own personal database, do you have your own personal search engine. And that was around 2018. We really put that together. So yeah, I'll stop there for a second, but that's how we came on to the project LifeScope. So,
wow, such a fascinating journey, and I love that you went through all those details. And I do resonate a lot with the initial part of like going to hardware and then realizing that's not how you can grow fast. Being an electrical engineer myself, I went through all of that, and then I became an entrepreneur, tried a hardware company, realized how hard it is. So that was great. Thank you for sharing. And then also like explaining like how you got to realize the importance of like this ownership of data and all of that. Really fascinating stuff. I want to take a moment and say hi to our amazing audience before we go into more questions. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Shadi, Ian, Shada, Marius, Cam, Vahi. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Marilyn. And everyone else who might be joining us but hasn't commented, please share your thoughts, say hi, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Marius is already putting questions. Hi, Chris. Welcome to the show. We are very excited to learn more about Liam's journey and then get into answering your questions. All right, so let's talk about cloud a little bit. You have been talking about how you want people to get off the cloud. Can you share a little bit about, like what's the single biggest illusion that people are buying into when they are handing their most valuable data over to major cloud AI provider?
I hear a lot of people sounding the alarm that the cloud is not good for your business or your personal data for many reasons. We live in a new environment where companies are more voracious and free-wielding than ever. I think that's the delicate way to explain it. And you look at essentially like a bunch of converging trends. One is we live in an age of vulture capitalism and surveillance capitalism and extraction. All the major tech companies are in the business of extraction. That's where their bottom lines come from, is surveilling every customer's information and essentially using that against them, using that to influence them. It's something we say is all these other AI agents that are out there are double agents. But I think, and that's, from the searches you do to the big cloud LLMs you use, they're not for you. You don't pay enough into them to actually make those companies profit. From Grok to Open, to ChatGPT to Gemini, all of them are trying to extract data from you. That's where they really make their money, and they're going to become search portals. There's already ads for sales in ChatGPT, and it goes much further. If you look at the political environment, you can look up Division 201, which is where the Army is now deputizing the C-suite of major tech companies as colonels, and they've already said, AI is bad. Superintelligence is an existential threat. The threat of AI is really bad. China, but very bad. Therefore, the United States has to get to superintelligence, general intelligence first. They've already tapped the public internet. Where are these companies going to go next? They're going to go inside of their clouds. They're going to go inside their customers' data. They're going to, we've already seen with generative art, all the major companies are more than happy to violate copyright. And, Midjourney is a great example. And they're getting partnerships with Meta right now because nobody actually thinks that these violations matter. The existential need for the data is so high. And I see companies starting to realize that as well, that they're looking at their EULA for AWS and GCP and everything else and thinking, is my data safe from being consumed into a bigger AI training set? We just don't know. We don't know what these companies will do. The companies aren't getting punished now. They're getting these essentially deferred judgments against them. So for the most heinous of financial crimes, what do you think? They're going to get less than a slap on the wrist for violating our data. And we've already seen instances of this in the news. So I think there's a lot of paranoia about the fact that the cops are not watching out for you, that corporate protections and consumer protections aren't there for data. And we've lost a lot of power at the FCC, FTC, SEC, CFPB to keep data safe. And it's on us to be more paranoid. So a lot of what I've been doing is helping companies build new privacy strategies. And it's actually profitable. The cloud is super overpriced. The trend of the Moore's law and the cost of compute makes it so that every 18 months, the cost of compute cuts by half. Cost of storage, cost of memory, all of these should be diluting very, very quickly, and they don't. Cloud costs have not gone down on most things in 5 to 10 years. They've essentially stayed with inflation. And that's because the cloud's not a good deal. The cloud started in 2015, by 2005 really, and by 2015, most workloads were in the cloud. And the engineers now don't know how to run on premises. It's a lost art. So a lot of what we do is teach companies, hey, you can build and finance your own clusters at your offices, at your homes. You can run them so they're very reliable, have multiple internet connections, battery backups, and you can move your agentic and AI workloads and data off the cloud and not sacrifice anything. The latest AMD hardware that we sell is so cheap and so powerful. To rent these machines is the same as just to rent them for 2 or 3 months in AWS is the same as to buy them outright. And we help people finance, sometimes at no interest, and they're able to immediately cut costs just by bringing their data on premises. And they get far more customization and flexibility, and all of that privacy. And we make it just as easy as running in the cloud. And that's been a really lucrative business for us. We have IoT companies, we have a healthcare company, all of which have moved off the cloud and on premises. And that's taught us the lessons of how to make it easy. And we think we can make that so easy that you can just go to companionintelligence.com, buy a box, follow the instructions on the web, and now you have a server set up at your home or office that is running your company. And you can customize it to the needs of your company or the needs of your friends and family and yourself, and just go with total peace of mind. And that's the dream we're really delivering on.
Really fascinating. I definitely have a lot of questions, and I'm sure our audience has. This is really interesting. So it's not only cheaper, it's more private, more secure. Basically, it becomes a no-brainer. Like, why not doing it? So then my question is, how complicated it is for an individual. It's not just for a business from the cost or setup perspective.
Yeah, so we're really targeting by in the next few months, releasing a home AI server that's around the $3,000 range, and at that allows us to get down to the $30-$40 a month that is affordable, and really starts to compete with the $20 to $200 a month you might pay for Apple Intelligence and ChatGPT Plus and Gemini. And we want to build an equivalent experience to that. So you buy this box for about $30 a month. You would go onto your phone at like companionintel.com and you'd sign up. You would connect to this box, and you would get your own domain. So yours could be nico.companionintel.com, or it could be nico.com. And that domain, through zero trust connection, goes directly back to your server. And right there, we greet you with the digital memory. It takes you through a simple wizard that comes through all your data through all of our connectors and sets up an automatic autobiography of everyone, everywhere, everything, all into this timeline. And then from there, it gets to know you. There's questions it asks your digital memory, and you can answer these questions directly, like, what's your favorite color? Where did you go to high school? Do you have food allergies? And once it now has this list of shorthand, thousands of questions it's answered about you, it can use those to essentially make predictions, suggestions, and automations in your life. And that is what we call the companion intelligence. And the intelligence doesn't just come from the LLM, it comes from your digital memory. We use the AI actually as a pretty thin interaction layer on top of this really well-structured, clean and complete and up-to-date picture of you, personal database of you. And that's how the technology works. These are just normal computers, these servers, so they can do all sorts of things, but what we focus on is building that companion. But it is an LLM. You can talk to it with voice and video, just like you do ChatGPT. We're building high quality voices into it, and you can use it for anything you can use an LLM, but you have this special companion agent, and it's just that easy. It's just right there on your phone or on your desktop. And now your personal information, your questions, your everyday work are not going to Sam Altman or Google. They're staying at home. And we use the power of tuned frontier open models like Quen and even OpenAI, open source, Gemma 3N, the list goes on and on, Llama. We are able to use all these different LLMs together and right size them for different tasks. So it's really, really cool. And there's
amazing.
Yeah, and we regularly are going through Hugging Face and other places, right sizing and tuning and finding all sorts of models for medical questions, models for X, Y, and Z, and you can just bring them down. You'll be able to bring them down easily and play with them and attach them to certain problems for your digital memory. It's really a testament to the amazingness of all the open source models out there, and all the great work in the open source space to make it so you can build on open models, and they are so powerful. And we see a future where we're going to go to more knowledge focused models, more semantic focused models. We're seeing a lot of research out there that we can bring into our system. And then we're also doing machine learning on the individual. We're doing reinforcement learning on the individual, which is something I've been playing with even before the big explosion of machine learning models, of just doing general prediction, reinforcement learning of where people are going to go next, what they're going to do next, what they're going to say next, without even bringing the LLM involved. So that's a lot of what we're doing at Companion. There's
Really
even more exciting stuff around the corner, but
awesome.
We're really excited to share it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. So now people, I think, know more about like what's possible, what the benefits are, and we have a couple of questions related to what you discussed. But I'm just wondering, so this is going to be like an ecosystem that you're creating where you provide the hardware and then also the software, or is it going to be like a marketplace where others can build on too, and then like you are kind of like in the back management?
Yeah, we really see that we're going to harden this idea of a digital memory, of a personal data pod, of a data wallet. It's gone by several names. We've really looked around to other projects and previous experiments, in life logging to build out this digital memory.
Mm-hmm.
We've looked at all the other people who've tried to build personal data pods and personal data wallets, and they're really just not built for scale. They're not built for the age of AI. They're not built for constant use, and that's what we're building at Companion, is this digital memory core. It's going to have an API on top. It's going to have an SDK, and everybody's going to be able to build plugins for bringing data into your digital memory, getting data out of your digital memory, building other agents, other applications on top of it. We want to make parts of it open source. We're in the debate right now of deciding exactly how much we make open source.
Mm-hmm.
And we are building hardware right now because we want to be able to be a one-stop shop. So when we talk, where we talk to people and we ship them a box and a complete and total managed experience, and it's easy, and we can reliably say every piece of software and hardware we can vouch for and support. We have looked at, as we grow, talking to other hardware vendors who are building AI servers, and saying this could be an operating system's choice, or an AI agent choice for your hardware. And we're in talks with several people about that right now. The same thing with we've been building for all sorts of different platforms. Like I rock the X Reels all the time. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the X Reel AR headsets. But we've been building a Unity app for the X Reel and the Quest 3 because we think that's a really good client to connect to these boxes. And I want to be able to wear glasses all the time and talk to my personal AI server. So we've been working with a whole bunch of ecosystems, and we're always wanting to talk to partners. And we really do sell the hardware just on its own, with a lot of service and support, and help people bring their own agents off the cloud, uncloud them. And that's something we do right now, and we have several customers. We're working with that as we roll out this consumer companion.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's very helpful. Let's get into some of the questions that we have. Brian is asking, do you leverage knowledge graphs?
Yes. Yeah. So this is like one of the very interesting things when you start recording everything about a person, is you end up with what they call the PDM or PKM. That's what they used to call it back in the day, personal knowledge management, personal data management, where you start to build out a graph of everything they know. Sometimes the information is true, sometimes it's untrue, and you can connect that to larger knowledge graphs out there in the internet, like the semantic data sets and knowledge web and things like that. It's very interesting where, we see this idea of a digital memory being kind of a panacea. It could be used for education. It could follow you along your education and pick up everything you've learned and everything you know. It could be used for your work, record everything you do at work. It could be used for fitness or health, record everything you eat and how you exercise, right? This is what I think everybody wants, is they want a personal black box. So I love the idea of powering apps off of digital memory, where if I want to log into Khan Academy or Open University, and it goes, these are the gaps in your knowledge that you would really benefit to fill. That would be incredible.
Yeah. And also knows what ways best you learn, and then, connects you with the right tools and solutions. And,
exactly.
I love the idea of like these pendants where you capture all the voice around you and everything. But I always personally am concerned about data for that specific one more than anything, because it just records everything you do, and you see people and everything. So that would be another great one to kind of mix with this idea of digital memory and this solution. So can't wait to see what partnerships you're going to have around those hardware. And we have another question from Daniel. Have you been tracking Brian Roemel's efforts? One of his is the 1,000 questions trying to preserve elderly wisdom. Nursing homes are tragic, and if you can spend that time there to brief your life for your family, that would be something. One of the tragedies of being human is learning. Do you have any thoughts about this?
I've met several people in this space who are trying to memorialize people. I could go on and on. I'm a little hesitant to name drop everybody, but yes, there's a lot about. I can even tell personal stories about my father's 88, leaving me thousands of photos. And I took a lot of time to go through all these photos with him, and on the back write a sticky note of who's in the photo, when and where this was taken, what it's a photo of, and stick sticky notes on all the photos in my house, and then scan them so I can put them into this digital memory, even from pre-digital times. Mm-hmm. I've thought a lot about, along with other people working on this project, of writing kind of tutorials and building kind of guide agents who help people do exactly that, of going through and scanning your house, scanning your photos, scanning your documents, your analog life, answering questions, interviewing relatives, and making backups. There's I have family members in genealogy and all of this, and I think in the last few generations, it's become a lost art of really connecting to your lineage and having systems of scrapbooking and memorialization. We don't have photo books anymore. We don't curate like that. The major platforms own our curation. I know people whose entire life and their children's lives are on their Instagram. So it's a different era.
Yeah. I mean, this need or desire to digitize everything exists. It's just a matter of like how to do it best. So we are feeling good about it, and our kids and our family will feel good about it. Yeah.
I tell people, if you're backing things up on a hard drive and it's an SSD drive, that thing will last 10 years. If you're backing up on a solid state drive, that'll last a few years. And you have to plug them in or the bits die. Yeah. If you plug in a hard drive, that'll last 10-ish years and then it dies. And if there's any water anywhere, both of those die. The only way to back up data is on a Blu-ray. And people don't know about Blu-rays or how to burn a Blu-ray. But that's literally the only real durable way to back up data. And I tell people to do that because it's very fragile. And they're expecting the clouds to back up their data. It's kind of crazy how fragile things are right now and how little control people have on their own information. So I think a lot of what we're building as a brand at Companion is to recapture that, put all that knowledge in one place, and give people like a foothold, an escape hatch on recapturing their own information and their trust and control over it.
Yeah, I totally resonate with that. I had a friend that bought a lot of Bitcoin when it was still very cheap in the beginning, and it was on a hard drive, and then he just lost it. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting things. And so I'm wondering, with these servers, how long do you think they will last? It's still a hardware, and
Yeah. So the beauty is they grow with you. So we just like your cell phone. You get them at an affordable monthly rate. Most of them are all of them are actually upgradable. Most of them are very upgradable. I make sure that every server we sell with has a very strong base with the motherboard and the power supplies and everything, fans, case, everything. So as you need to upgrade your GPU for more AI, add more RAM, add a better processor, there is tons of upgrade paths, and we can help you with that. And as that platform over the years becomes end of life, you can just buy another one, and it's really well scheduled. So you can finance another one and just set that computer next to the old one, and now you have a cluster, and you can grow. And very flexibly. This is a lot of what I've been studying is how much of the cloud do you actually use? Is there kind of like an actual steady feed of storage and compute? And like what happens when you actually have giant spikes of need when you say are asking a deep research question to an LLM? And it's not that much. It's a total affordable amount. And, a lot of the cloud infrastructure that you're using right now is years old. So I think we have a really good strategy that I could get into the details of, that the experience will be comparable on performance, in speed and capability to what you're getting in the cloud. And we're really trying to benchmark ourselves to being the as good, if not better, option to Gemini, ChatGPT, even Google Docs, Dropbox, on your own private home server. And that I think we're going to blow it away. I think we're actually going to provide a much superior experience, especially when you're at home, to what you get from the cloud.
Yeah. That's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
I do have several other questions, but Ian is asking thoughts on self-built IDEs.
Yeah, self-build IDEs. That's another. If I understand the question properly, that's another use of the box. Is these companion servers can run Quencoder, can run DeepSeek, can run Kimi, all these incredible coding LLMs, and you can just connect them to your laptop through all sorts of homespun AI tools. Shout out to AiderDesk. Everyone here who does vibe coding should check out AiderDesk, which allows you, or Void, or all these others out there, which allow you to connect and do AI coding from home, have your own IDE from home. And it works out absolutely awesome. And the amazing thing is then you can put your code base on your own home server, and when you're idle, let that code base let the LLM tune on your code base, and now you have a domain-specific, vibe coding buddy. So these are things that we do, which is something like if you want to train GitHub Copilot on your code base, you have to go buy Enterprise for your entire team, which costs a boatload of money just to get it to train on your code base. That's how much the other platforms cost. Claude's even more. And you can just do that directly off your own home server, small business server.
Very interesting. And I'm curious, is there any business use case or case study that you've had that it really empowered businesses that you're working with in terms of possibilities of what they can now do?
Yeah, we were working with a medical company, and they were dealing with very intimate data, and they were dealing with high net worth people, and they very much wanted to bring the major LLM capability. They had a whole bunch of opportunity to bring LLM capability into their software, and it was a non-starter for the doctors and the care providers because they just did not want the patient data to go to Sam Altman. And just the fact alone that they could move it on premises. And now they're actually talking about selling hardware into families' homes with us, and which is something they never thought of before. And all sorts of ability to easily take your company into other countries now. Because now it's not a matter of trying to get XYZ service to work in another country. You can just move your infrastructure into a box and then take it to another country. So there's all sorts of things we're enabling, that with these opportunities that we're really excited about. And this is a movement I think it's bigger than one company. And it's bigger than one country and one political environment. I think it's time to get off the cloud for lots of reasons that I could go on and on about.
That's interesting. Thank you for sharing. And a big part of problems with the cloud is also the environmental impact. And with data centers, I posted in your Discord how it's impacting some of the environments, houses, buildings around them, all have been residential, but now because of, the benefits that is creating for the city, now they're willing to do everything. And that has impacted the, previous residents. And that's a huge problem. And then the electricity cost is going up, and, environmental damage that they're causing with their constructions and everything. So I'm curious, when in your case, in your solution, how does the environmental side work? Do we use a lot of power still, like it was with crypto?
So this is something we're actively studying, but I'm really bullish on actually wanting to publish a lot about this. one of the biggest problems with the cloud is transporting the data. People don't realize the massive overhead in transporting data. AWS and GCP, Google, and others. It's so bad trying to transfer your backups or your data sets over into the cloud that they'll actually send you hard drives. They'll send you a truck. They call it Snowball in AWS, or to actually take your data. And when people actually calculate their actual cloud spend, they often just focus on the servers. They don't realize how much they're going to spend in bandwidth and storage. And if they ever want to move clouds or move back on premises or even to the cloud, like the movement of data is extremely expensive and slow. And that ends up being a spend all over the network. We have this, if you're ever using like Google Drive or Dropbox and you're trying to back up anything or transfer it from one computer to another in your house, most people are actually transferring the data completely all the way to the cloud and then all the way back down to another laptop in their house, like right next to them. This happens all the time. It also happens in companies all the time. And this is like something I've seen over and over again of saturated networks, like inefficiently moving data around. And this is kind of a downstream effect of the cloud. And this is one place where I think our servers will massively save right off the bat. Another thing is actually places in America, places around the world are generally cold most of the time. So having a server in your place warms your house. It's electric heating, it's green heating, especially when it's next to like solar power. And then the air conditioning loads are really awesome on the hardware we're selling. Everything we sell is ruggedized air cooling, generally AMD. None of this crazy fancy liquid cooling. This is a big problem with like the latest AMD systems that you see going in data centers, is they require this distilled liquid cooling, like especially the ones in Texas. They're usually, because they're this AMD Blackwell architecture that requires distilled liquid water. Whereas the ARM-based stuff and the AMD-based stuff is still largely air-cooled and can go in, doesn't need to have a new data center built to do this new type of distilled liquid cooling, like water cooling. You can still use old air-powered data centers. And the power per watt is still kind of the same, even though it's not quite as fast or as much memory, which is generally even not needed. That's kind of like the madness of this last data center boom. I don't think it's actually going to meet with the computer science of what we're going to actually need for the next decade. So I think it's just a lot of hype to move the top line of NVIDIA and other private AI companies. But yeah, we shall see. Yeah.
And I think from the end user perspective, a lot of it comes from the desire for convenience. And so like they're like, okay, what are my options? I don't know technical stuff, or I don't want to deal with the hassle of like finding the hardware and everything. So they end up just using the cloud because it's easy. But now your solution and other solutions like that are making it easy again, but it's giving you this comfort and privacy aspect, and even cheaper. Why not? So like that really becomes a no-brainer. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I would love to hear more questions from our audience. If you have, please let us know. We have 10 minutes left from the show. And I'm curious, has there been any also use cases from the individual side or creatives that you see? You built that amazing engine, Ethereal Engine. Are there other use cases related to and you were fascinated by graphics? Is there any other use cases that would be empowered even more with these tools?
So I'm running an experiment with some of my old friends from Ethereal Engine, and we are building embodied agents. We're building a 3D puppet that we puppeteer with a companion character that shares a lot of the code base of our companion tools. And this is a companion you'll be able to see on the web, on mobile and desktop, and inside of headsets. This 3D character, so you can walk around your house and show it your house, and it'll scan your house in 3D and notice where everything is. You can ask questions. So if I'm in my backyard and I ask it, hey, what type of plant is this? And it says, oh, that's a fern. And that character will walk up to it and point to it and look at it with me. We're doing a lot of, I've been fascinated with embodied agents, building 3D puppets, virtual people, virtual characters. There's interesting positive things you can do with virtual characters. There's also kind of negatives, because you are actually building like an interactive person in the world with you, which has a bit of a parasocial psychological effect with people. But we think it's really interesting, and we can make a really effective and tasteful character that's fun and intuitive and can like show you how to do things, like how to garden, or so that's a fun experiment we're running with a small team, kind of on the side. We're focused a lot on like everyday use cases, like triaging your inbox, triaging your immediate schedule, meal planning, entertainment planning. That's a lot of what we want these personal servers and companions to do, is like solve everyday problems. I've looked a lot at all of the personal assistant agents that are out there, and most of them suck. And I think most of them have a lot of user experience and architectural flaws that are just fatal. That just makes them kind of unusable. That the gold rush of agents have actually led to very few good ones. Not none. I think there's a few good ones, but most of them I think are stinkers. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a typical cycle. A lot of people try, and only a few actually stay around. All right, so we have a comment from Brian saying AI and AR will be awesome. And we did have Terry Struler on our show, and we talked about how XR is the body and AI is the brain. So definitely that's a great use case. Cam is saying, Liam, share your thoughts on power generation that will make this possible.
Well, power generation is out of my expertise, but I am very interested in it. I would start by saying the everyday computer that we're hoping to sell is capping out around 300-ish watts, and is no different than like a PlayStation in your house or something like that. And that's commensurate with what most people, the power most people are using in the cloud. They would just bring that home, experience that on their power bill, and could easily hook it up to their own renewable sovereign at-home system, like if they had solar on their roof. And I feel this is an awesome contrast of like a Google or a OpenAI or a Microsoft, that just kind of all-encompassing infrastructure they're building, usually in not the smartest place, or just making nuclear reactors. I am pro-nuclear, though. I do think nuclear is probably our number one way to get to actually carbon zero anytime soon. But that's an unpopular opinion. So
interesting. Thank you for sharing. And I'm curious, from your experience, since you have launched this company, what have you seen is the biggest barrier to adoption? Is it the tech? Is it the cost? Is it like just change of habit and mindset?
It's the confidence. Everybody's going with the cloud right now, even though there is rumblings in the press and in the zeitgeist about the problems of privacy, security, and control, and price. When you go to the cloud, like AWS and you want to run Llama in your own stack, or you want to, it's easy. You can just select from the dropdown. So that's what we've been doing on our website, is benchmarking all of our hardware with what AI will run on them, so that we know and you can easily know. Yeah, right here, where we know and you know exactly what will run. That's interesting. My internet might be dying. Oh my God, that's an error. That's an error from Squarespace. That's crazy. My dark circuit, my dark secret, which is we work off Squarespace. But that is very strange.
Okay,
and yet the
okay.
homepage
we can just talk about it.
And now the homepage works though. So what I was going to show you is we have. That's very strange. The homepage works, but we have a benchmark on this web page that shows all the different servers and the different models they run on. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to us. We're here at the bottom. We have a Discord you can get on. You can send our email address. All the web pages are down. I'm actually looking at my phone. Squarespace is down. God damn. This is the problem with the cloud. If I was hosting this on my own machine, it would work. I could do it. Yeah, but sadly our website's still on the cloud. I am getting alerts that Squarespace is down. Damn it. But yeah, please check it out. It'll probably be back up in a few minutes. And you guys can check, you guys can see all the servers we sell. You can reach out to me and I will take you through or our company. And that's what we do. We take you through what you need, right sizing the hardware you need. We help migrate your workloads off. We get you a plan so you have zero downtime, and it's all financed. So you only pay a small amount a month, just as you do financing on the cloud. So it's really fun and exciting to be part of this transformation.
Thank you.
I'd love to help all of you.
Just a quick question about the future that you're predicting. How do you think the future is going to look like in the next 3 to 5 years, considering a solution like this?
How do I think it's going to look in the next 3 to 5 years? Yeah. So I think the glasses will become mainstream. I think we'll have AI and/or AR glasses. We're going to look at something like IO, which will probably be an earbud and a pendant. We're playing around with those types of pendants. And you'll have more IoT in your house. I think Apple and others are pushing for e-paper display, IoT centers for their Apple Intelligence solution. And I think we're going to have our own, where the agents will be in your car, in your house, on your head. You'll be looking at your phone less. You'll be on your laptop less. And these agents will be doing things on your behalf, and you'll be managing and delegating them. And I very much think probably the AI and the hardware in the field will be kind of about this powerful, and the models will get much better and more efficient, and will be made in some data centers. I hope the politics continue to push open source models that are just as good as the closed source ones, and that's the type of system that we're trying to support. Is systems where you control your data, systems where the AI that we use is open and transparent, and distributed and ubiquitous, and you're in control of it.
Love it. Thank you. And do you want to tease us a little bit about what your upcoming launch is going to look like? I know something is coming up in September.
Yeah.
What should people look out for?
So, we're going to really show off the first version of Companion and how it works and all the features and the UI. We'll be rolling it out to our founder customers who already have our servers and are using them at home. So if you want to be part of it, you can go and check out our servers. I just checked, the website just came back up just by magic. So you can check it out now and sign up for a server. And you can be part of our beta. You can join our Discord, and we'll be showing off more of the embodied agents and having premieres for that, all in the next few months. And then we will be at CES showing even more. We have tons of features in the pipeline. We're going to be doing regular feature releases between now and the end of the year. So I'm really excited to share it with everyone.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is truly a revolution. You're a visionary, and thank you for doing this for all of us. And thanks to our amazing audience for being with us for the past hour. Cam, Brian, Jean, Chris, Ritika, Felipe, Ian, Shada, Daniel, Fatima, and Ira, Brian, and so many others. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. Thank you for your great questions and comments. This was awesome. Thank you, Liam, for your time. I know you're super busy, so this was awesome. Nico. And can't wait to hear the launch. Check out the Companion Intelligence and join us on their Discord. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Take care.
Bye. Bye.